Welcome everybody to the beautiful circuit of Zandvoort here in pretty roasting hot sunshine. It's almost 30 degrees even though it's the end of the afternoon here, and we're all set for the start of the third weekend of the Prototype Cup Germany, the second season of this fantastic championship for LMP3 cars. If you love V8 engines and the roar of them, 5.6 litre Nissans power these cars along, and they have incredible high speeds of around about 160 kilometers an hour with 455 brake horsepower. There you can see the temperatures that we're describing, very hot here. You'd be pretty pleased to be in that spot of the grid on rows 2, 3 and 4 when you're in the shade of the grandstand, but that's not the case for our pole sitter Oscar Tunjo, claiming pole position in qualifying this morning in the Dakar with a time of 1 minute 31.335 seconds, but it was mighty close in the first 15-minute qualifying session of the year. He was just 79 thousandths of a second quicker than Marcus Pommer in the Racing Experience Dakar, who did a 1:31.414, so nothing between those two. And then there's a bit more time between second and third with the number 8 car of Gawler qualifying Nico Gawler, third quickest, but nearly 0.3 of a second off the pace of Oscar Tunjo with a 1 minute 31.632 second lap. And then to complete the second row of the grid, Lawrence Orr will start the Karainen Kempi Motorsport Dakar with a time of 1 minute 31.838. He was only 6 thousandths of a second behind Nico Gawler's time. So tight in the battle for third quickest in qualifying this morning. Max van der Snel will line up fifth on the grid in the Moore Motorsport by Reiter Ligier, the first of the Ligiers in qualifying. 696 for him as well, so almost matching the pace of those two ahead. And Leonard Hugenboom in his home country here, qualifying in 6th place, will start the number 78 DKR Engineering Dakar, also with a pretty rapid 1 minute 31.707. They can see the rest of the grid forming up. This then is the 5th race of the season. 12 rounds across 6 events this year. Hockenheim was the first round. Oschersleben was next up. We come to Zandvoort, and after this, remarkably, we'll already be at the halfway stage in the championship before we have visits to the Norris Ring in a few weeks' time, Assen, and then Nürburgring to round out the season. And so far, the driver that's on pole, Oscar Tunjo, and his teammate for this year, Julian Potelos, have got the championship lead. They've had 2 wins out of the 4 races so far. They've had podium finishes in the other 2 rounds as well, and they arrive here with 86 points and a 5-point lead in the championship over Marcus Pommer and Gary Hauser, who've also been on the podium in every single race so far this year. First, 2 seconds and a 3rd place for them. We just saw a few moments ago Robin Rogalski, who's going to start his DKR engineering machine with teammates Valentino Catalano. They've gone well this year with a win as well last time out at Oschersleben. And it's a bigger expanded grid that we've got here for this weekend. We're up to a record entry of 18 cars. And Freddie Hunt, a name that's familiar with fans of the Prototype Cup from last year, as he was a race winner at the Nürburgring, finished just outside the top 10 in the championship. And the British driver, for the first time this season, making an appearance in the Prototype Cup this year to add to an extended grid. Axel Jeffries, one of the other drivers coming in this weekend to contest the championship. So it's fantastic to see an expanded grid of these V8 cars about to go racing for 55 minutes with a mandatory pit stop in the race. Most of the cars are shared cars with 2 driver entries, but even if you are a single driver, you've still got to come in and make that mandatory pit stop. So far this year in qualifying, things have been pretty evenly split as well between those front 3 in the championship, with 2 pole positions this year so far going to Robin Rogalski and Valentino Catalano, albeit they're a bit further down the grid for this one. And then you have had a pole position in the first round of the championship for Oscar Tunjo and Julian Potelos, and there was a pole position in round 3, the first race at Oschersleben, for Lawrence Orr and Matthias Luton. So the cars lined up on the grid. It's a 4.2 kilometre long circuit here at Zandvoort, in the dunes, right across the dunes at the back of the circuit. You can see the North Sea. There's a big long strip of sand, the beach there. It was full on last night. There was a rave, there was a fairground, thousands of people in attendance. There are restaurants along the beach. It's a beautiful place to come and watch racing, and it's a proper old school circuit, this, which was first founded as a street track back in the mid-1930s or late 1930s. In the 1940s, it got turned into a permanent race circuit, still using some of the original roads. But the key feature here at Zandvoort is the undulation, A, and B, the banking that you have on the some of the corners in particular that were remodelled back in 2020 when the return of Formula One came to Zandvoort after a number of years away. And that's one of the corners with huge banking here at turn 3. It really is steeper than it looks on TV. I rode around it last night on my bike, and it's pretty phenomenal. And so too the final corner, which has an 18-degree banking. It's almost like being on an oval as you go through the final corner now. And then you've got this undulation on the run up out of turn 3. It's uphill all the way through, coming out of there, and then you get to a crest. You go downhill from turn 4 to the left-hand kink at turn 5. Rob Slotemacher corner, named after the former Dutch racing driver. Then up into turn 6, you go over another crest uphill, and then at the end of the first sector you plummet down all of a sudden over a crest down into turn 7 at Schleivack. You've only really got turns 8, 9 and 10 that are relatively flat, and then the rest of the corners are undulating, including another high cambered corner through turn 12, the second part of the chicane at Hans Ernst. So it's a fantastic driver's circuit. We should see some great racing here today, but it's a circuit on which you've got to be very careful as a driver not to make any mistakes, because it's easy to run wide. The cars, the balance of the cars, get unsettled with all of these undulations that we have around the track. So they'll have a mandatory pit stop in the middle part of the race. Pit stops come between the 22nd and 32nd minute of the race, and depending on the driver combination, whether it's gold, bronze or silver drivers, and whatever the combination is there are extra time penalties to add to those combinations. Also, if you're a single driver, you get time added on. They're all run on Michelin tyres, and they have 4 sets of slick tyres that they get to run here in this weekend at Zandvoort. Right then, so the drivers and the championship leaders about to go into action here. Oscar Tunjo on pole position in the blue and white Deccan, and then Marcus Pommer, who's experienced prototype racer, but prior to that, single-seater racer as well in German and European Formula 3 racing and FIA Formula 2 racing as well. He starts second in the Racing Experience number 15 car. Nico Gola and Lawrence on the second row of the grid. The light's about to go out then. Chris Hartley here trackside to talk you through the latest battle in the Prototype Cup Germany as they make their way through and towards the start-finish line, coming through with the clock ticking down. There's going to be an extra formation lap, though. That's just come through from race control, so they're not happy with something. They're going to send them around again. So everybody's set and poised, ready to go. Revs, rows, all ready to go racing, and they've put in an extra formation lap. So they're going to have to go again. As far as we can see, that's not going to affect the time of the race, and not any minutes off the 55 that we've got on the clock. So Oscar Tunjo and Julian Apostolos are the championship leaders with 86 points. As I say, a 5-point lead in the championship coming into this race over Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer. So the top 2 of the championship are together on the grid. You get 25 points for a race win, 20 points for second, and 16 points for third, down to a point for 15th place. So it all makes for a very open championship that we've got coming up here. So the cars making their way then through, and the formation lap complete now, and through they go. 53 minutes, 48 seconds left on the clock. They charge down towards the first run through this banking, getting another sighting lap of that. So the clock now is coming down and eating into this time that we've got. And you can see the run over the crest here as they come through. Uphill out of turn 3, down and then up again. This is the downhill run through the right-hander that I was talking about at turn 7, Schleivack, which is a great place to go and watch the racing action here. So Oscar Tunjo, the driver, starts the race from pole position with just that fractional advantage in qualifying this morning, leading the round of this extra formation lap. He's 27 years of age, comes from Colombia, and had a single-seater career to begin with. Rose as high as the GP3 Championship, the precursor to the FIA Formula 3 Championship. He raced against the likes of Charles Leclerc, Alex Albon, Nick de Vries, who all made their way into Formula 1. He was also involved in Formula Renault racing and Formula BMW. Raced against the likes of Stoffel van Dorn when he was in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Nick de Vries again, Pierre Gasly. But Prototype Cup and GT racing is where it's been for him over the last few years. He's made the AC GT Masters racing fourth in the silver category in the Blancpain GT Championship in 2021. So the Colombian it is that leads them around, getting set then for this race. So that extra formation lap has eaten into the time a little bit, as 55 minutes has become more like 52 minutes now. Here they come then through the banking, ready to go racing, hopefully this time. The safety car looks like it's about to peel in, so it should be go at the second time of asking. Marcus Pommer poised and ready to go. To the right-hand side of your picture, a heat haze here with almost 30 degrees air temperature, and the drivers will feel this. It's going to be a physically challenging race around Zandvoort as the lights go red to green and we go racing, and it looks like a good start for Oscar Tanyo. It's not such a good start for Marcus Pommer. Is he going to be stranded on the outside line here? Yes is the answer. He's going to drop from second, I think, down to fourth place with Gola and Hoare. Both making their way through by the looks of it to get through, and so Marcus Pommer not quite on the attack here on the run through that first turn, dropping down to sixth place it looks like now as he gets down to turn 3. Hall's made a good start. He's the one that's got into that second place. Gola has gone through to third. Max van der Snel and Leonard Hugenboom got through as well. Side by side action here as they go together through turns 4 up to turn 5 and 6, and then over the crest down in towards turn 7 to just about fit into the corner. It's all allowing the race leader to scarper off into the distance. Like Oscar Tanyo has got himself, I would say, at least a 1 second advantage already halfway around this first lap of the race. Everybody, though, I think has survived that first few corners for now. And just in the background there, 1 or 2 running wide. Continuing, the start is under investigation, it says as well. So they're looking at the start of the race. Doesn't say who or why. They're looking into that now. Rogalski, another driver who would expect to come through from a bit lower down the grid than normal, has had a pretty good start, gained a place or 2 in the 77 car, so he's up into, I think, 8th place now. Just gone through the shop as the cars make their way out of turn 12 into this final sector through turns 13, which is a pretty much 90-degree right-hander, and then through this bank turn at turn 14, flat out there, whipping through, and across the line they come. And Oscar Tanyo with a 1.5 second lead over Laurent Tour at the end of the first lap of the race. Is there going to be some action just behind? No, thinking about that overtaking manoeuvre, but not quite, was Marcus Pommer there. He's dropped down to 9th place. Somebody's run out wide, look, going through Tarzan, is about to rejoin, having got down the escape road there, dropping down the order. Dika Gola, 3rd at the end of the first lap. Max van der Snel in 4th. Leonard Hugenboom in 5th place. Rogalski up to 6th place. And then a good start as well for the 22 car of Hecklander, who made up a bit of time on that first lap of the race. But the absolute best first sector has just gone to Nico Gola in the number 8 car, running in 3rd place. Actually, on that first sector was 3/10 quicker than the race leader. This is a slow-mo of them coming out of Tarzan. Right, and there was the car that we saw going wide and through the gravel trap. 78 machine of Hugenboom that was 5th at the end of the first lap of the race and had a trip through the gravel trap to drop back down the order by looks of things. So safety car is coming out as well. So safety car has been deployed. The one car that didn't come through at the end of the first lap of the race was one of our new additional drivers for this weekend, the Moroccan driver, Suleiman Zanfari. So Suleiman Zanfari, the 17-year-old multiple karting champion, that might be him, and former Swedish and Italian junior karting champion, failing to make it through the end of the first lap of the race. Our fear is has had a big off there, so the medical team just checking him over, making sure he's okay. He's out of the car of his own volition, which is good to see and good news, but it looks like he's been a bit winded there. Can't see what the damage to the car might be, other than all we know he's generally okay. they'll take him for a check-up, I think. It's good to see him out of the car, but looks like he's had a fairly hefty one there, which is why the safety car has come out. And so Hugenboom, after his run through the gravel trap, down to 10th place, but Lawrence Hoare has come through, shown as the race leader behind the safety car. And yes, indeed, there he is in the orange and black machine. So Nico Gola up to second, Andersnell third, Rogalski fourth, Hecklander up to fifth, Jilkova's had a good start up to sixth, Marcus Pommer's back up to 7th place. And Oscar Tunjo has dropped all the way back to 17th position. Is the last of the runners. He led the race away off the line there, the blue and white machine. Perfect start, really. Got off the line well, got to Tarzan first. But he's been shown as tumbling down the order. These are replays from the very start of the race. In some cases, they're running 3 abreast through that first corner lap. And everybody survived that part of the lap, at least. So, Samfari out of the race. Tunjo down, according to the timing screen at least, to stone last place. Start was under investigation, start okay, so there's no further action there. So it's Lawrence Hoare that's taken the lead of the race. We'll wait to see them, but it was certainly looked like he was the first car behind the safety car. Matches up with what it says on the timing screen. And so the German driver, 26-year-old, who's the son of Oliver Dutt, who raced in GT Masters for a few years between 2009 and 2011. He's got a background in karting, then single-seaters. He only switched to LMP3 a few years ago in 2018. I suppose that's 5 years ago now. He's got lots of international race experience, and it's Lawrence Hoare that leads the race from Nico Gola. And just seeing if we can see Oscar Tunjo in the background and exactly what happened to him. So the stricken car being pulled out by the telling you how that's Tunjo's car. So it was Tunjo that we saw out of the car. And we lost him and Zanfari, who were nowhere near each other on the track. So, yeah, that's the car that was hidden behind the wall. So that's what's happened to him. So the race leader, the championship leader, with Julian Apostolos not having had the chance to get into the car, I'm afraid, out of the running already. Well, the good news was that he looked okay. Cars on the safety car just coming up to that point now. So that was on the run out of turn 2, just before they get to that downhill drop to turn 3. So we lost the race leader. Narrow winding place, not the sort of place you overtake here. Lots of undulation there as well. The car gets unsettled, but quite what happened to him. We'll see, but the car has been moved to a safer position now. So this really does open up the championship, doesn't it? It's going to be 0 points scored, I'm afraid, for the pole sitters, the points leaders, Tunjo and Apostolos, and they only had a 5-point lead over Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer, although Marcus didn't have a great start. He was 9th, he got 1 back, then he's been given another place with Tunjo dropping out of the race. So Marcus Pommer, number 15, up to 7th place, which would yield 9 championship points, which is enough to put him ahead, or never ahead of Tunjo and Apostolos. Then you've got Rogalski and Catalano trying to come up the order as well. They're up to 4th place, so had a pretty good start. And that car qualified lower down than normal in 9th place. Although Catalano will do qualifying tomorrow. Whichever driver qualifies today, the other driver qualifies tomorrow in the shared cars. And whichever driver qualifies on each day is the one that starts that race. So Rogalski qualifying in 9th position, but the better qualifier this season has been his teammate Catalano. So expect to see them near the front of the grid tomorrow. But they've had no lower than 6th place in the races so far. Is there some barrier damage? Because we've got various machinery heading out onto the circuit now, including a truck and a digger, which is an unusual sight, and I think the race is going to be red flagged. It is. So we're going to get our red flag. So it looks like there's some damage to the barrier as well on that run through turn 2. Very quick flick through the S-bend section. Once you come out of turn 1, you go left and then right through Gerlach at turn 2. And that's where the incident has happened. So an interruption in the race. The clock stops with 43 minutes and 51 seconds left on the clock. I have to say it's been that kind of weekend in terms of red flags. We've had in almost every race so far and almost every qualifying session so far over the last 2 days here at Zandvoort. There's been a red flag. And right, and get more of a sight of the Oscar Tunjo car now, and hopefully it's not damaged so much that it's not going to be involved in the race tomorrow. So Rogalski and Catalano with a chance to catch up in the championship as well. They could theoretically move into the championship lead as the cars are stopped on the start-finish line in single file order. And what I think they'll do on the restart is restart them in the positions that they were in on the last full lap before the red flags came out, which isn't going to affect things anyway in terms of the positions because they were already lined up behind the safety car. So rather than a full restart, it should be the case that they will get a bird of prey with a great aerial view of what's going on here, which is not a lot at the moment, unfortunately, with the race restarting when it does. And as soon as we get news on that, we'll let you know. Then it will be a case of starting in the order in which they are already in, not a full restart. So here, Gula and Max van der Snel then lining up next up in the 99 car. Max van der Snel, son of Mark van der Snel, who he races with, the father and son pairing. Max is 19 years of age. They'll be looking to go well because this is their home race. They both come from the Netherlands. Dad, Mark, will be in the car second, and therefore will be in the car first tomorrow. And it's going to be a fairly quick turnaround, which is good news. So 5-minute countdown will start at 5:36, which is now, which is why we've just seen that board. So straight into the countdown procedure to get things back underway. It's going to be a safety car restart, we're told, as well, when we get back underway. So as the birds of prey hunt for something dive-bombing down to try and find their evening meal. It's going to be a late tea tonight for the drivers in the Prototype Cup because of this delay. We'll get news of how long the restart will be, if they knock any time off, or they might just leave it at 43 minutes 51, start the clock when they start running behind the safety car. But of course it's going to eat into racing time for them. And we'll let you know as well if there's any change to that pit window with the change to the time that we've got to run in the race. So Lawrence Hur picks up the lead of the race and sits and waits, and they won't want to wait too long on that grid because it's going to be very hot inside the cockpit of those cars. The 26-year-old ready to go. He was on the podium at Le Mans last year in the LMP2 category, Lawrence Hur. 5:41, so just a few minutes away, in fact. We'll be 3.5 minutes away from the restart here. Number 8 car of Nico Gula there, unmistakable with its pink livery, and Nico Gula in second place. He will restart, 20 years of age. A Formula Renault racer and started his single-seater career in Germany in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship back in 2019. Now switching across to these LMP3 cars. Another young driver in the field. It's good to see so many young drivers. Is, as I say, Max van der Snel, who is going to be lining up third for the restart. He's just 19 years of age. Used to race in the Westfield Cup here in the Netherlands, as did his dad, who also used to do a bit of radical racing. He's been karting since the age of 7, so 19 he might be, but already a dozen years race experience to his name. They're looking for a great finish here if they can achieve it, because Max and Mark van der Snel are currently 7th in the championship, and the best result this year has been a 5th place finish at Oschersleben. They've been pretty consistent. They've been in the points all the time. A 5th, an 8th, a 9th and a 10th their results so far, but this is their first real opportunity to score a podium this season. Then Marcus Pommer, who's got the opportunity to move with his teammate Gary Hauser into the championship lead here, because the championship leaders for the first time this year are not going to score points and not going to finish on the podium, with Oscar Tunjo dropping out of the race. So Marcus Pommer will be looking to have a better start than last time out, because it wasn't a great start, was it? It dropped him down the order at 1 point to 9th place. Former German F3 champion, won that title almost 10 years ago now, in 2014. He's also raced in, as I say, the FIA Formula 2 Championship. He's raced in the ADAC GT Masters Championship more recently, a 6-time winner in that over 4 seasons in the championship, and more recently racing in prototypes in the European Le Mans Series in 2021 and 2022. So it's one of these drivers that seems to have been around for a long time, Marcus Palmer, but he's still only 32 years of age. So the countdown underway, and very shortly, in a minute or so's time, we're going to get cars heading back underway for the restart procedure, and it'll be a safety car restart there in the order that you see. Number 72 Hurt with 8 Gula second, 99 Van der Snel third. Robin Rogalski one to watch in fourth. If he can hold that sort of position, and then with Valentino Catalano to come in, that could be on a charge, that car, looking for a podium finisher. It's a former breakdancer, Robin Rogalski, in the 4th place number 77 car, but also lots of racing experience in things like the ADAC GT4 Championship, GT Masters he's done the odd race in, the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. He was the champion in that in 2019. He's raced Renault Clios, you name it. He's built up quite a bit of experience in just a short period of time, the 22-year-old. Behind him, starting 5th on the grid, is going to be Max Henklander, and he's another driver that's built up quite a bit of experience in GTs, 33 years of age, German driver, podium finisher in the GT Masters Championship. Last year was his first year driving LMP3 cars. So, green flags, off they go behind the safety car, and indeed the clock starts to tick down already behind that safety car. But just a word about the format for the pit stops when we get to them. And if it's going to stick to the normal times, it will be pit stop window for 10 minutes between the 22nd and 32nd minute in the race. Mandatory pit stop. The race director can make a different decision, postpone the pit window if it's appropriate to do so, which is why I'm just saying that it might not necessarily be the normal period for the pit stop window, although it could still remain at that. And then there's a minimum pit stop time for everybody to have the driver changes. If you're a single driver and you're in the bronze category, you have to pit for an extra 5 seconds on top of that. If you're a single driver in the silver category, 25 seconds on top of that. And then depending on the ability and grading of the drivers, if you're a bronze silver driver pairing, you get an extra 10 seconds on top of the minimum pit stop time, 20 seconds if you're a silver pairing, which is most of the pairings here. And if you're gold to bronze pairing, 20 seconds. But if there are 2 bronze drivers, then they don't have any penalty time, and that makes life much easier for them in respect of that, of a much shorter pit stop time. As I say, most of the front runners in and around the championship lead are silver pairings. So chance for the drivers to focus themselves. Safety car is just going to be out for 1 lap, then we'll get back up to full race pace. Lawrence leading them back into the charge when we get to that point, looking for his and Matthias Luton's first race win of the year. They're a gold-bronze pairing. Who is the more experienced driver with gold rating and bronze for Matthias Luton. There's no platinum drivers allowed in, and things are very evenly matched. The safety car is starting to edge away from them already on that run down to turn 13, and you can see backing them all up now is Lawrence in the number 72 machine, looking to pull the trigger when he gets to turn 14. So Nico Gurla is going to have to sit tight and try and find a way through, perhaps at turn 1 if he can spring it, but he can't go until the leader goes. He can't hit the accelerator until the leader hits the accelerator, and nobody can overtake until they get to the start-finish line. So it's going to be Lawrence from 4th on the grid that gets the restart underway as he charges in the Korainen Kempi Motorsport number 72 car into Tarzan. Going with him but not close enough to attack is Nico Gurla in the number 8 BWC Muka Motorsport car from 3rd on the grid. Both of them progressing up the order, helped out by the fact that Marcus Palmer didn't get a great start on lap 1. Oscar Tanyo is one of the 2 drivers that didn't make it through in the early stages, and it was Oscar Tanyo, the championship leader, that dropped out of the race and gone off the road between turns 2 and 3. that brought about the red flag. So we're back underway, 40 minutes, 30 seconds or so left on the clock. And this is the charge then down through turn 7 and down into what's a pretty tricky braking zone at turn 8. There's a couple of hard braking zones where the back end dances around a bit. The other one is Tarzan at turn 1, which is a very bumpy entry, I'm told, on the way into that turn. To the left-hander at turn 10, it's all about trying to get the acceleration out of that down this back straight. And a replay of contact there. Unusual position. One got away with it, the other one didn't. Did he rescue it? Oh, no, he didn't, I'm afraid. And into the barriers, he went side on, and damage that would probably be to the left side of that car. But it's the number 24 machine of Freddie Hunt, isn't it, which had that coming together and was sent briefly into the barriers. But I'm afraid Freddie might be retiring. His dad, James Hunt, sadly passed away 30 years ago now. The 1976 Formula 1 world champion, was a race winner here at Zandvoort back in 1975. The only race victory for the Hesketh Formula 1 team. So Freddie, as I say, was a race winner in this championship last year, but really annoying return to the championship for him in his first outing of 2023, because he's out of the running after that contact. And our latest retirement in the race. So Lawrence leading the way by around about a second and a half. But forget about it, because the safety car is going to come back out and bunch them all up again. We've got more drivers and cars under investigation, this time for the safety car restart. One is going to be the number 22 car, Max Hecklander, which is in 6th place, and the other one is the car that's just ahead of him, the number 5 car, Jill Cover. They're both under investigation for the safety car restart. Gabriella Jilkova, she is in a pretty good race so far, the 28-year-old. Front runner in the ADAC GT4 Championship last year from the Czech Republic. And she got ahead of Max Hecklander on that first lap restart as well. So up to 5th place for Jilkova in the number 5 car. Hecklander down to 6th. Marcus Pommer still only there in 7th place. So maybe about to outscore Oscar Tungio and Julian Apostolos in terms of the championship, but you've got to keep an eye on that Rogalski Catalano car as well, which is 4th place at the moment, and with Valentino to get into the car, will be rapid when they get going again, I suspect. So Valentino Catalano, when will he get the chance to get into the car? Safety car picks them all back up again. Second time we've seen the safety car. Last time we then went into a red flag, but this is because of Freddie Hunt's car stranded at the side of the circuit. So we've lost Zamfari, Tungio, and now Freddie Hunt. The order is number 72, Lawrence in the lead. Number 8, Nico Gurla in 2nd. 99, Max van der Snel in 3rd place. Number 77, Robin Rogalski in 4th place. And then in 5th place, Gabriela Jilkova. 6th place, number 22, Conrad Motorsport car of Max Hecklander. And Hecklander is ahead of Marcus Pommer, number 15, in 7th place. With Jan Marshalowski in car number 14, currently running in 8th place, having started on the 5th row of the grid. It's got a new teammate this weekend, Jasper Stiksma, who is getting used to, for the first time, racing a car with real downforce this weekend. So Freddie Hunt's car has been towed away there on that run towards turn 8, where the cars are coming through under safety car conditions. Getting towards the point where that pit window is going to be opening up as well, so that could be pretty frenetic. About 3 minutes or so away from that original pit window time opening up, if it sticks to it. If there's no change by the race director, it could be the case that they all come in under the safety car conditions, because you don't want everybody else to come in behind the safety car. You're stuck behind the safety car on track going very slowly, and then you're not getting away from them. You're not pulling away from them as they all pit, because you're only doing a very slow lap time behind the safety car. So that'll be something the teams are aware of here as we get towards that pit window opening up. There's no refueling, there's no tyre change unless You have to, because you've got a damaged tyre or the weather changes, which is definitely not going to be the case today. Got a maximum of 3 people working on the car and a maximum of 1 air gun as well during the pit stop. Cars aren't allowed to reverse, and no work can be carried out on the car during the pit stops either. So very strict rules. Any violation of those pit stop regulations, including short stopping, and they're all being clocked by race control as well to make sure they don't undercut the minimum pit stop time. If you break any one of those regulations, the result will be you'll get at least a drive-through penalty. Can be 10-second stop-go penalties added on as well. And there you go, confirmation the pit window is going to be postponed. So the race director has, as I said, got this ability, this fluidity to change depending on the circumstances of the race, the pit stop window, and with it looking likely that the safety car would still be out when that pit window opens in, or originally would have opened in 1 minute and 40 minutes time, 40 seconds time rather. They've decided to postpone that. I don't think it'll be too long before we've got the circuit clear and we're able to get things back underway. And he's finished what's been a stint with very little in the way of high-speed laps, has it? He's going to hand over to Matthias Luton. Nico Gula will hand over the number 8 car in second place, if it stays in second place, to his teammate as well, Gustavo Quirilla, Brazilian, a rapid driver to get in. Be worth keeping an eye to as well. So these LMP3 cars all competing, 18 of them starting the race. Sadly, we've lost Freddie Hunt, Oscar Tanyo and Sullivan Zamfari as well. Safety car is coming in on this lap, though, for the 15 cars that remain in action here in the late afternoon sunshine at Zandvoort. It's still 29 degrees, going to be roasting in those cockpits. You can add about 30 degrees onto the ambient temperature for the drivers, who are also all having to deal with wearing helmets, fireproof undergarments, gloves, boots, all the stuff you don't want to be wearing for a day at the beach, really. So it's going to be incredibly hot, especially with not much airflow coming through the car when they're doing these low speeds. But they are about to be released back into action. When we know what the new pit stop window is going to be, we'll let you know, but it has been postponed. We are about to get back racing up to full speed, though. Laurens, Nico Gola and Max van der Snel, looking for his first podium of the season, are the top 3. And it's side by side for third place with Robin Rogalski on the attack as well. And the 77 car coming through on the way into Tarzan. The next car through then, leading the next group of cars, is Max Hacklander in that battle squabble that's going on for 5th, 6th and 7th positions. And Jelkova has come into the pits. Now, pit stop window will not be postponed. The message came up onto the screen, sorry. So pit stop window not postponed. So we are open. And the first one to come in just before we got back up to speed then was Gabriela Jelkova. So that car drops for now down to last in the order. Nobody else has come into the pits. Will that strategy work? So there you go, confirmation on the screen. Pit window is open. It's just opened up now. Did you time that right is the next question. Did they get in time just as the pit window had opened? Hopefully, from their point of view, they weren't too early crossing the white line on the way into the pits. So that's put Hacklander up to 5th place. 6th place is Pommer now. Marszalowski's up to 7th. Hugenboom's up to 8th. Jeffries is up to 9th. And Sparandio is up into the top 10 at the moment. So it's only going to be a few laps, this 10 minutes, this opportunity for them to come into the pits and make their stops. Meanwhile, Laurens is making hay while the sun shines here. He's already started to pull away from Nico Gula. Conrad Carr and Max Hacklander still got a queue of cars behind him, including Marcus Pommer, driver second in the championship. None of the front runners elected to come in. There is one in the background that's come in, though, I think from 4th, 5th place. Let's have a look. Just coming into the pit lane now. Yeah, it's Robin Rogalski from that, 4th place that comes into the pits. Going on the attack, trying to find a way past Max van der Snel on their restart. But coming in now as well is the number 3 car of Steiner. So Steiner's come in also to make a stop. Dino Steiner handing over to Konstantin Scholl, the Austrian driver. As Freddie Hunt relaxes in true Hunt fashion here, lighting up at the side of the track. chip off the old block, isn't he? Yeah, he's had some success. He's done a lot of races in a lot of different categories. He's getting the gaffer tape out now, I think. But, there you go. Not the return he wanted, the Nürburgring winner on this championship last year in 2022, but hopefully have a better day tomorrow. So Rogalski, Steiner and Kevin Rohrscheid have been into the pits as well now. Jelkova 15th and the final runner, but should move at least ahead of 2 of those cars. Here then, a battle between the number 35 Sperandio, and he is currently just about hanging on to 9th position, but it is only just luck. These two running absolutely nose to tail. Right on his tail is the number 70 car of Elbacker, who has gained a place after Rogalski came into the pits as well. So they come over the start-finish line. This next group of cars, 1.4 second advantage for Laurens Seurr. Nico Göhler in second place is about 0.9 of a second clear of Van der Snel. Then Hacklender, Pommer 4th and 5th. Marszalowski in 6th place. Hugenboom in 7th place. Sperandio and Elbacker having this battle, which is spread out a little bit more now, are running in 8th and 9th positions. And Axel Jeffries has come into the pits as well now to make his stop, which most of them are going to have to do fairly soon. Already, there's only 6 minutes or so left on the clock in terms of pit stops. So you saw Sperandio having a decent battle there, trying to dig in and hold on to his position. And yes, Sperandio, the Swiss driver, just 17 years of age, won 4 consecutive junior Swiss karting championships, and real talent in karting, and now running in LMP3 racing. There's your race leader, Laurens Seurr, coming through. The gap from 2nd to 3rd is pretty tight still, at under a second. There's a big gap back then to Max Hecklander, who's pulled away a little bit now from Pommer, Marszalowski and Hugenboom, but not much. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th still pretty close together. They make their way through the left at turn 11, right at turn 11, the left at turn 12, which is pretty heavily banked as well. There's the penalty box coming out of turn 12 at the top of the picture, into 13, and then the banking at 14, which is really, really steep. You go up to the top of this banking and you look down, and it's quite hairy. It gives excellent grip for these cars that slingshot their way through all the downforce on these LMP3 cars. And look at this battle for 5th place, with Marszalowski ahead of Pommer now as well in the battle for 6th position. Hacklender, though, still just about fending them off. With Sperandio and Jeffries trying to make their way back up the order, having made their pit stop. So Marcus Pommer having a real yo-yo race here. He's been 2nd, he's been as low as 9th, he's been 6th, 7th, 6th at the moment behind Marszalowski, who's going well on this restart, isn't he, in the number 14 car. And just on the tail, Max Hecklander now, as they make their way down through turn 7. Meanwhile, Laurens Seurr is 2.3 seconds up the road now in the lead of the race from Nico Göhler. Well, Nico's just matched him through the first sector on this lap. The last lap was the fastest lap of the race from Laurens Seurr, with a 1:32.501 second lap. So yeah, Marszalowski going well, but it's going to be the end of their stint soon, because just over 4 minutes to go before the pit window closes. Car 5, a black and white flag for the safety car restart then is all it was. Loverath now behind the wheel of the car, Xavier Loverath. And that car back in 12th place. Jelkova was the one that had the warning, or picked up the warning for the team for the car. So we've got still just under 27 minutes on the clock in this race. We've got the leader looking comfortable, and I think Laurens Seurr will want to stay out as long as possible the way he's going. He's definitely got the handle on everybody else here so far in this race. If you're flying, why not pull away as far as you can? Marszalowski ahead of Hacklender as well now, that battle. So up to 4th place for Marszalowski. Picked up 3 positions in the last couple of laps of the race. So Hacklender down to 5th position. Marcus Pommer still kind of hanging on to them in 6th place, but coming under pressure himself from Leonard Hugenboom. Leonard in 7th place in the 78 car, just a couple of tenths of a second behind him. The cars hop and skip and bounce as they go up through turn 6, over the crest and down towards turn 7. All the weight shifts to the front of the car as they drop downhill once again. Continue down to turn 8. BHK have got their car in for a pit stop. And release back out. That's This car was up into the top 10, the number 47 car of Kaufman, which now switches around. Robert Doyle will take over that car. Here is the gap battle, which has changed to the tune of about 0.2 of a second. Pommer falling away a little bit at the moment. Right, the team's ready to go for Nico Gula then. A huge experience, Berlin-based team, Muka Motorsport, VWT backing on the team. And he's not going to be the only one coming into the pits with less than 2 minutes to go now. In comes the race leader. So in comes number 72, Laurent Seurre. Gets out of the car. He can help Matthias Luton in. There's no work that can be done on the car. Change of seat. Much taller Matthias Luton steps into the car. But you've also got Nico Gula and Max van der Snel in the pits as well. So the top three all in. Cars 72, 8 and 99. Marszalowski and Pommer have stayed out. Hacklender has come in as well. And Hugenboom has come in. So Marszalowski and Pommer, the only ones in the top 9 that have stayed out. They'll pick up first and second positions in the race for now, but they're going to have to come in probably end of this next lap. Right, this is a replay of a ragged run over the curbs here. Oof. That was fairly hairy, scary stuff for Max van der Snel. Just about caught it and got away with it, and then it was a bit tight coming into the pits to find his box for Laurent Seurre, trying to avoid running over one of the mechanics from Muka Motorsport. Nico Gula came in just behind. So Gula and Hur both having to wait here with their additional time on top of the minimum pit stop time. Max and Mark van der Snel. Mark now getting into the car. Laurent Seurre replaced by Matthias Luton, and Nico Gula is replaced by Gustavo Kiriak. Right, firing up the engines simultaneously. They go, both silver pairings, those two, and it's as you were, really, nose to tail with the 72 car getting out just ahead of the 8 car. And now Marszalowski and Pommer do come in as well. So they come in right at the end of the pit window with less than 10 seconds to go. So this is the battle for the lead of the race once it all sorts itself out, or at least it should be. With Luton and Kiriak now nose to tail, building up speed. And Mark van der Snel still in the pit stops, in the pits in the 99 car. Marszalowski and Pommer in as well. Just hand over to their respective teammates. We've got how long left? 22 3/4 minutes left on the clock. So this battle going on here, raging on as Kiriak trying to fend off the car that's breathing down his neck at the moment. As they make their way as well, it's the number 5 car which has already made its pit stop of Xavier Loverath, which is pushing on just behind. He's up to speed already, having been in the car for a lap or two, and looks up the inside and drawing alongside. This is the battle for second place as it will become, and Loverath is almost there, almost alongside as they go over the crest, drop down towards the chicane. He's on the outside, we'll have the inside for the left-hand part. Will he get through? He's almost on the curbs. There's a back marker as well, which is making life even more complicated. He still can't find a way past Kiriak. So Kiriak holds on to the position. Again, looking at the inside is Loverath to try and come through. And all of this allowing Matthias Luton to get further and further away. What will become now, as they cross the line, the lead of the race, re-establishing themselves as the race leaders. That should be the case anyway. The Stixman car is the last to pit. That's coming out, and a drive-through penalty is coming to the car of Hugenboom for causing an accident. Pedro Carino taking over the wheel of the car now. Look at this. Xavier Loverath trying to high line here around the banking at turn 3 to get on the throttle as they come up to another car here, absolutely together as they go downhill now. Swim through the left-hander at turn 4, climb through turn 5 and up to turn 6 over the crest. No way through here. This is terrific driving, terrific defending here from Kiriak in the number 8 car, who's just about keeping Xavier Loverath behind him for now. 4th and 5th they came through, but it's going to become the battle for a podium position here. Gary Hauser has taken over from Marcus Pommer as well now. Two of the other championship front runners again absolutely side by side. He gets alongside, he almost gets his nose in front of the number 8 car of Kvyat. He's able to just about fend him off, and that looks like a recovering spin from the number 2 car of Danny Sufi. Yeah, the American looks like he's had a moment, I'm afraid. And this is a replay of, was it on his own? Yes, it was, I'm afraid, all on his own. He's losing the back of the car. It looks like it's coming out of turn 9, midway through the lap. But no harm done, other than all of the time lost in the race. The leaders, though, made their way over the start-finish line, and here we go around the outside. Xavier Lovras trying to get through. Stixma has come out in the lead of the race after the pit stops at the moment in the 14 car, but the gap is coming down. We'll not see that car, but it is number 14 that leads from Matthias Luton, the 72 car. That gap is coming down all the time. This is the battle for the final spot on the podium as it stands, with Kvyat just fending off Lovras here, and Lovras trying something on almost every corner. Couldn't be any closer. Almost swapping paintwork, these two. Xavier Lovras in the number 5 car. Tremendous driving, but also tremendous defending here in the number 8 car to hold on to that position from Gustavo Kvyat. Terrific battle, and just spread out a little bit now. And I mean a little bit, because they're still almost together as they make their way through the right at turn 9, up towards the left at turn 10. Here he comes again, nibbling up the inside. Xavier Lovras still can't quite find a way through. They're just running through your shot then in first sight, really, of the number 14 car of Jasper Stixma. Jan Marszalowski drove that car. Stixma is having his debut and finds himself in the lead of the race, and again trying to come around the outside and then get the inside, and 2 wheels on the curb is here for Lovras, and it's the second time he's tried that move. He's trying to go around the outside at turn 11, the right-hander. That leads directly into that banked, dropped corner at the second part of the chicane at turn 12. Trying to get the inside line for that one, but can't quite get close enough and far enough alongside, and has to keep putting a wheel through the gravel and backing off out of the manoeuvre as well. So Kvyat just doing a perfect job here of defending that position. Then you've got Gary Hauser trying to fend off Valentino Catalano behind as well for 5th and 6th positions. So we got Stixma going really well, actually, at the head of the field. He's pulled away on that last lap from Luton. The gap's grown to 1.6 seconds. 14 car leads, the 72 car in second. Kvyat and Lovras have had this tremendous battle for 3rd place. Gary Hauser is going to have his hands full of the Valentino Catalano car shortly. Catalano had a stunning lap in qualifying at Oschersleben to get pole position on day 1 there. And then they got a race victory on Sunday last time out at Oschersleben. 3 podium finishes now and that race win. But they could also move ahead of Apostolos and Tunjo in terms of the championship and find themselves either 1st or 2nd in the championship, depending what happens to Hauser and Pommer. These are 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and look at this, all on the grass here as they go side by side. 2 wheels on the grass for Kvyat as he comes storming through. Total bravery there to get through along the car, to manage to keep Lovras behind him as well. And that was utter commitment as he came through. The 47 machine of Kampmann trying his best to stay out of the way as well. But Luton, I think, coming unstuck, dropping down the order as the safety car is deployed again, and has dropped behind the pair of them to 4th place on the road now. Had he had an error just before that, which dropped him into the clutches because he was quite a way ahead. Car 2 is under investigation for pit stop infringement now as well, which is the Danny Sufi car, and he had a replay. It was coming through. He got stuck behind the back marker. That then onto the grass went Kvyat, and with loss of momentum, Luton, the 72 car, then came unstuck and lost another place at the chicane. So just in the nick of time, Kvyat and Lovras both getting through to 2nd and 3rd positions. It's our 3rd safety car of the race now, though, and there's just over 16 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, or less than that now. So catch a breath. How about this? Into the lead of the race after that pit stop phase, and a really good end to his stint by Jan Marszalowski to get, what, 3 or 4 positions on the restart, the 2nd restart, to hand over then to his teammate Jasper Stixma, the German driver, and give him, on his debut, and their debut as a pairing, the lead of the race. But that lead will diminish now thanks to the safety car. Kyria in second place, having this awesome battle with Xavier Lovras as well. Lovras, the 23-year-old who's competed in Spanish Formula 4, the Euro Formula Open when he was single-seater racing, but moving into GTs in 2018, 4 seasons racing in GT4 Europe. Currently racing in the Asian Le Mans Series is Xavier Lovras, with great success as well, running up there at the sharp end of the championship this year, and also competing in the Prototype Cup, and trying all sorts in the number 5 car to just try and find a way past Gustavo Kyria, the Brazilian driver. The 28-year-old who's been racing prototypes for 3 seasons now, former Brazil endurance champion. Great battle it was, watching those two go absolutely wheel to wheel, wasn't it? But Kyria holding on crucially to that position, and now maybe having a chance to go, if we get back underway fairly shortly, for the lead of the race on the Stixma car. It's going to be right behind it now. That Stixma car got a couple of seconds clear, but Gustavo Kyria in the Muka Motorsport car will have designs on trying to get the lead of the race away from Stixma when we get back going again. But we'll also have to keep an eye on the mirrors with Xavier Lovras behind. You got Matthias Luton, who got delayed by the back marker and lost those 2 places from 2nd down to 4th just before the safety car came out. You've also then got another subplot with that battle that was raging for 5th place between number 15 Gary Hauser and number 77 Valentino Catalano. These are the front runners in the championship, those two, because they are currently running 2nd and 3rd respectively in the championship. Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer run 2nd on 81 points. 10 points behind them are Robin Rogalski and Valentino Catalano. And at the moment, Gary Hauser for 5th place would bag 11 points. Valentino Catalano would bag 10 points for 6th place. So they both gain ground on Apostolos and Tunjo. And with 5th place, 11 points, Hauser and Pommer would move up to 92. They'd move into the championship lead. Rogalski and Catalano, if they stay where they are, in 6th place, 10 points, 81 points, would draw level with Hauser and Pommer, but would have less in the way of 2nd place finishes. Same race wins, but 1 less 2nd place finish. So if it stays like this, I reckon it'll be the championship lead. Sorry, the championship lead for Hauser and Pommer. They'll move on to 92 points. Rogalski and Catalano will move on to 81. Yeah, they'll stay 3rd behind Apostolos and Tunjo on 86. So it will be a new championship lead for Hauser and Pommer. Even though, if it stays like this, it's going to be their worst result of the season so far. 4th place, not been off the podium. Sorry, 5th place, not been off the podium yet, those two. 2 wins, a 2nd. Sorry, win 2 seconds and a 3rd for Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer. Jan Marszalowski and his new teammate will be looking good. He raced with Marko Kacic, the Canadian driver, to a couple of 8th place finishes and a couple of 11th place finishes so far this season. And the race is, I'm afraid, going to be red flagged after all of that, and will not be resumed, we're told, because we are heading closer and closer towards the curfew, and there's still a GT4 qualifying session to come after this. The curfew here at Zandvoort is 7 o'clock, so I'm afraid a very bitty race that, with 3 safety car interruptions, 1 red flag, then a permanent red flag, and no worries at all, though, for the race victors, because with their first win this season for Jan Marszalowski, and on his debut, his new teammate are going to get the victory. So there'll be joy when he gets back into the pits for the driver, who's actually doing a really good job, wasn't he? Quick driver, and new to these cars. But Stixma is going to be a winner first time out. Jasper Stixma, and great success for them. Full house of points, and 2nd place it's going to be for Kyria, and Lovras 3rd place. after that tremendous battle for what, 3 or 4 laps with Kirill, but not quite able to get past. So Gustavo Kirill, the Brazilian driver Nico Gola for Muka Motorsport, pretty happy with that 2nd place finish, I reckon. Gaining on the championship leaders, but there's Jan Marszalowski. He's already congratulating his teammate after a perhaps unexpected victory. Jasper Stixma, there you go. This is easy, this Prototype Cup Germany racing. It's not. It's never going to be easy, but a cease that was all really because of that last few laps that Marszalowski put in before the pit stop window. And then Stixma drove really well, didn't he, when he got into the car? So they got out. We're number 1. First trip onto the podium this year for the team and Marszalowski, and it's straight to the top step of the podium. 2nd place going the way of Nico Gola and Gustavo Kirill. And 3rd place to the very entertaining Xavier Loveraz and Gabi Jilkova, who played her part in the first part of the race. That was the car that came in and made the pit stop first, right as the pit window opened. Well, Loveraz was great entertainment, wasn't he? There he is, giving a hug to teammates, Gabriel Jilkova. And he can be very proud of his efforts, because it wasn't for the want of trying that he wasn't able to get through on the number 8 car. But in the end, a podium it will be, and I'll be pretty pleased with that podium result as well, I would expect. And drivers, Xavier Loveraz didn't compete in the first weekend at Hockenheim. 6th place finish for him and Jilkova at Oschersleben, and now their 2nd weekend together. They've got their first podium of the season as well. So an unusual set of results. Started really with the loss of Oscar Tanyo, who was 2nd retiree fairly early in the race, having a lap or so. And we lost the championship leaders, their first DNF of the year, their first non-podium finish of the year as well. So the podium celebrations will come up. We've got the subcategories to keep an eye on as well, and they come to the podium, the junior winner and the trophy category winner as well.
Yes. Yes, champions. Yes.
And you can hear the celebrations and cheers in the background as well. Yes, we are the champions. The trophy category is for the bronze level drivers, and the junior championship for the younger drivers in the field. Posing then, we are the champions, we've got the victory. What a start to the weekend. A race interrupted by safety cars and red flags, but none of that will worry race winners. A pit stop infringement, by the way, has been reported to the stewards for the number 22 car. So, drivers catching up on some much-needed refreshment after what's been a hot race, despite the interruptions. Wouldn't have helped them, actually. Weren't going absolutely flat out, were they? But they had to still deal with that lack of airflow behind the safety car and the heat bearing down the problem. It's actually got warmer since the start of the race, incredibly, by 0.3 of a degree.
Really? The car was with you, was blocking here in turn 10 when you were braking.
So there to the right is Gustav Kirill and Nico Gola discussing their race from their various perspectives. Nico Gola having had a stop-start first part of the race, really, with that interruption.
More to the front, and then it was okay. That was a moment in turn 2, turn 3.
And Kirill, I think, probably spending a lot of time talking about that battle he had with Xavier Loveraz. So there, confirmation after 19 interrupted race laps of the results of race 1 here at Zandvoort, with Marszalowski and Stixma as the race winners by 2.7 seconds from Nico Gola and his teammate, you just heard from there, Gustavo Kirill, the Brazilian driver. 3rd place going to Xavier Loveraz and Gabriel Jilkova, their first podium of the season as well. And a disappointing 4th place in the end for Matthias Luthen and Lawrence Huhr, who were at the front, and then 2nd place, and then 2nd became 4th very quickly as Matthias Luthen was distracted by a back marker, tucked to the grass and lost 2 places in quick succession, just a few seconds before the safety car came out. So the drivers now awaiting the podium presentation. They've got another qualifying session, another race to come. Remember, whoever qualified today is the other driver that qualifies tomorrow. Other than the single driver entries, that is the case. And whoever qualifies tomorrow starts the race. It'll be the other way around. Hopefully they'll have less interruptions to the racing. But the highlight of that was definitely that battle for second place. Xavier Lovras was the real entertainer in that race. So the top 3 cars have been brought into the Parc Fermé area, and it'll be up on the top of the garages where the podium beckons and the champagne spray beckons for our top 3, our trophy winner and our junior category as well. And you know, in the end, pit stop ended up being not delayed, and that might just have been the key factor there, because that quick thinking from the JVO Racing team to get Gabriel Jelkova in and handing over to Xavier Lovras pretty early on might just have got them that first podium finish of the season, their second weekend together as a driver pairing. So here they are being called to the podium then for the first time this season, and it's a partnership which seems to be working well, starting to gel now, these two. It's a quick thinking from the team to get those two onto the podium, Jelkova and Lovras. But couldn't quite find a way, could he, past Gustavo Kirila. Nico Gula played his part in the first half of the race as well. But it is going to be victory here at Zandvoort for Jan Marszalowski and Jasper Stixmer on his debut in the Prototype Cup Germany after a pit stop towards the end of the window helped them into first place. As we get the rest of our podium finishers up then, trophy category winner, team winning representative makes his way up onto the podium as well. So here they are, applauded up. The national anthem for the race winners will come up soon. Information that the 22 car of Hacklender and Van Goltzen gets a 30-second time penalty as we get the German national anthem. So here in the Netherlands, the German national anthem plays out over the speakers at the end of the first day of action here at Zandvoort. It's time for the trophy presentations now. And first to receive their trophies, our race winners, Jan Marszalowski and Jasper Stixmer. From Michelin, it's Philippe Plex that presents the trophy, or trophies, to our winning pairing. And again, we've got the trophies from Menno Vida, who is involved in running the circuit here at Zandvoort, behind the scenes and putting these events together.
On the first. All right.
Julius is, yeah, in the middle. Top step of the podium.
A bit of confusion on trophies. There we go. There are the winners' trophies now being presented. That's the real deal. Number 1 on the trophies, and Marszalowski and Stixmer absolutely delighted with that. Our winning team, they're very pleased with their efforts as well. The MRS GT Racing team, our winning team here, they get some silverware as well. Going off the podium a bit too soon there, because we've still got the photos to come. Trying to get dry, or stay dry, Gabriela Jelkova and Xavier Lovras, but be beckoned back onto the podium. Don't run yet. I know you might get wet for champagne, but we need a photo of everybody up on the podium first, which is now the case. And everyone that doesn't want champagne, get off the podium. They run. But still sharing, or trying to share everybody else with champagne, with Xavier Lovras there, but he did a pretty bad job of that and managed, I think, to miss everybody. So the Sports Prototype Cup race there was, I say, a rather truncated and interrupted race, but there'll be more to come tomorrow, and hopefully another lively race with the championship having changed hands. So that's it from Zandvoort for day 1. Race 2 coming up local time tomorrow at 3:10. We'll be on air 5 minutes before that to talk you through all the action for race 2 here at Zandvoort. But for now, we'll leave you with highlights from the first race of the weekend here in Holland, and an unusual end to the race. The red flag coming out, and the victory going the way for the first time this season to Jan Marszalowski and Jasper Stiksma. Lots of action along the way, lots of dramas, and 1 or 2 retirements along the way as well. Hard work from the teams in the pit stops to make things happen. But in the end, we got there, and that first race completed. Hope you've enjoyed that coverage of this first race of the weekend for the Prototype Cup Germany. See you again tomorrow for race 2.